Hello there, welcome to our little shop. This weekend a customer brought in his Fender Deluxe, little Blues Deluxe. He'd called me earlier and said he had some problems with it playing out of tune. He's concerned about it, so we talked about it a little bit. He asked me what I thought it might be. He'd had somebody else check the tubes on it. Said the tubes were all right. So we talked about it a little bit. I made a couple educated guesses, and he brought it up, and we took a quick look at it, and apparently I was right. What we're going to talk about this time around is filter caps. They have a lot of different ways of presenting themselves with issues. They can manifest themselves into hum, oscillations, all kinds of weird stuff. This is one of those cases. I also think it's nice that somebody's marked the center of his speaker for a sound man. Anyway, so this is the guy's workhorse amplifier. He's used it for years. Usually when something like this happens, there's such a slow degrade over time that they don't really realize that they've got a problem until you go to a gig some night, turn it on, and well, you have issues. So we're going to spin this around, show you a couple things here in the back, and we're going to get with it. Okay, first thing we always do when you crack into an amplifier is check the fuse. This one is the correct size. We're going to put it right back in there for the time being. Second thought, you know what? No, we're going to show you the amplifier. So anyway, we're going to leave it in there. So first looks here, we see a few things that's pretty normal with these amplifiers. You can see there's been some heat build up here around these resistors, and these usually come loose. Oh yeah, look at this. This one's loose. The solid state power supply here for all your ICs and a few things is supplied by these two resistors and these Zener diodes and these capacitors. So this is a dropping resistor for the positive and negative, roughly 16 volts. So if this goes away, you lose your drive channel in these amps and your reverb. Your normal channel will function normally. But there you go, there's that. So it also looks like a reverb tank is loose. Oh geez. So someone's replaced the reverb tank, and they didn't put the spacers back in here, so the springs are slapping against the bottom of it. So we need to fix that before we're done. Our output tubes have been changed. They're from Tube Depot. They're actually JJ's. They look like they've been running very cold. The paint is very crisp red here. So that's what's going on there. But what I want to show you here in a few is what he was complaining about sound-wise. So let me grab a 6-string signal generator and I'll be back. Yeah, this is exhibiting some of the typical characteristics you run into. This does not have a high volume hum. But if you notice, you'll hear a hum there. It doesn't matter where the controls are, anything else, it'll still be there. Now a lot of times they'll have a much lower frequency hum than that, but that's a filter cap issue. sound wise, what he was talking about, he said it actually sounded like it played out of tune or had a tremolo on it. There's no tremolo on this amplifier. So what happens is the power supply is modulating stuff over top of the signal. So yes, it did sound like it had a tremolo on it. It also seems to have low volume. So we'll check into a few other things here. I'll get this guitar put away. And let's get our little magic box out here. So let's check some voltages here. Our high voltage is 380 volts. That's roughly, not quite 100. This amp should run about 440. So we're probably looking about 60 volts low here. Another issue could quite possibly be filter caps. And if you want to verify, just for fun, and all the forum guys will tell you not to do this, but I've been doing it for decades. I just use a used capacitor so you don't ruin a new one. Clip on here. Your hum's going. So there you go. So we're pretty sure that the filter caps are the issue here. I can't wait to pull these out and measure them and see what they say. I've had a history with these amps, and actually a history with these capacitors, this brand of capacitor. I've actually seen these fail within a year and a half of the amp being new. I'm surprised these have lasted this long. Like I say, this fellow's had a slow decline. He's not noticed what's going on until his amp just, didn't cut it some night. So anyway, we're going to jump into this and start doing a few things. Here's another tip for you about discharging amplifiers. I just use a clip lead, fast up to ground. I mean, you can buy all your fancy tools and stuff, but you don't need it. Take a plate load resistor. So here is the plate load resistor for the very first preamp stage, and you want to clip on to the side that goes to the tube. This has got your power supply on it. This supplies the tube. Okay? So if you turn the amp off and leave the standby switch in the operate position, let's hook something else up here a minute, just so you can see. So we've hooked onto our power supply here. We've got 380 volts. We're going to turn the amp off, and it's going to start drifting off. But if you clip this here, it'll drain that amp out in about 30 seconds. So we're down to 44 volts, 38, 35, 30, 29, 28, 24, 19. So there you go, you get the point. So there's a freebie for you. So I'm going to continue on here. What I'm going to do is get ready to drop this board out. We're going to take all the nuts off these pots, take the knobs off, all the jacks, take several screws out of here, and drop this whole board out. What I'm going to do beforehand is clip the leads off on these filter caps pretty close to the board up here, because we're going to take them off in the back to try to eliminate doing any damage to this board. Down here we're going to do some work here with this stuff too. I've got a typical cure for this that we're going to deal with. We've also got a resistor up here that's been very hot, that they're bad about heating up here and damaging the board. We're going to get it out of here too. and get it taken care of. And there's a few other little idiosyncrasies that we run into with these blues style amplifiers. This whole line. I'm going to show you a few things there with those too, but we're going to get this pulled apart and get ready to fix this. We've got to give him some filter caps. So I forgot to show you something here a minute ago, so I'm circling back to show you what the story is here. If you apply signal to this amplifier, instead of having a pretty sine wave, we have this. That's the modulation on top of the signal I was talking about. Alright, you can see that we've got most of our demolition here done. We've got the caps off, we've cleaned up the solder connections for those. But you can see up here where these resistors were, where the board's been so hot, there's already been 3 of the pads out of the 4 here that was damaged from the heat. So we're going to have to patch that up, and I've got my own way of dealing with that. So we're going to get some silicone seal on our new caps, get them dropped in, get them soldered up, and then carry on. Well, just for fun, let's check some caps here. So this is the 47, this is the main filter. It's reading a grand total of 0.340 microfarads. Here's one of the 22s. Okay, it's reading 23. Here's another one of the 22s. It's reading okay, but I don't trust them. And there's one of them that's reading 30. But it looks like our big culprit here was our main filter supply. Our main B+, which is supposed to be 47 microfarads. And just to show you, let me get a clip lead here, that is supposed to be 47 microfarads, not 0.3. So, there you go. I say those 3 read okay, but frankly, I wouldn't trust them anyways near as far as I could throw them. So, anyway, moving on. Okay, well, we've been here a little while. Got just over an hour in here so far. You can see I've replaced the foot switch resistor here that heats up, raised it up off the board, doubled the wattage on it. The original one is about maybe a 1 watt, so I'll put a 2 watt in it, whatnot. Anyway, new filter caps, here, 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 and here. Put the board all back together, we're ready to check things out. You can see what I've done. I actually raised these resistors up off the board and put a piece of high temperature rubber underneath them to get them away from the board, to keep from doing any more damage. Something I do a lot with those. So there you go. That's it so far. I've actually got everything all put back together. We're ready to actually fire this up and check it out. We're going to current limit it in case there's a problem, but I don't expect to see one. We'll probably have to do a few more little things like clean some pots, maybe some jacks. These have some other issues, like all the screws come loose. I want to tighten up the speaker bolts, and a few other things. I also want to tighten up the jacks here. I'll be using a 1/2-inch socket on those. And I've cleaned these pilot light up. So we're going to fire this up and see where we are. So we're going to tighten these up with a 1/2-inch socket. That is your main ground for your output transformer in your speaker. So you want those tight. Okay, well, let's see how our progress is progressing. Get power on here. That looked good. Oh yeah, we're looking good. No hum. So start checking a few things. First of all, let's get a fuse back in it. And our power supply is back up. We're up at 453 volts, which now seems to be a little high. Which brings up another question. Well, let's see what we got here. My suspicion is this is running a little cold. 18 milliamps there on that tube. $18 milliamps on that tube. I'd like to see about 30, 34 on this amp. Those are JJs. They're actually 30 watt dissipation tubes. So, let's do some more checking here. If my suspicions are correct, when we run some signal up here, we're running straight into the power amp. Oh yeah. We got a little crossover distortion. Not bad, but enough. It looks to me like our phase inverter is also out of balance. But as you notice, all of our little bouncing around is gone. Our filter cap solved that problem. So I'm going to bias this and get back to you. We've got it biased up at about 35 mils per tube. And our power supply is back down to 445 where it should be. So we're kind of happy with that. So let's turn this all off, clean up some debris here, and try this out, see if we need to clean any pots or anything. We're just about done. We've got some mechanical stuff here to take care of, but we're just about done. Well, we've had another little curveball thrown at us. Minor. It's going to be very hard for you to hear. But once this tube starts, it'll actually have a real high frequency whistle. There. So he's going to have a set output tubes. You know, otherwise he's going to be looking for, now you see it, now you don't, noises on a gig some night. There's definitely this tube. So, carry on. Okay. Well, that was a slight unexpected little detour. When I started checking everything out, I found out that his reverb didn't work. He had mentioned that the reverb didn't work very well and the reverb tank had been changed. But I was more concerned with getting this oscillation stuff taken care of. Ended up replacing the reverb drive IC right here. Actually, that's the whole entire reverb, the return and drive, but it was bad. So we might have had to take a whole board back out and everything again. I remounted his reverb and fixed it so it doesn't slap around. Had the typical run through here, tightening up all the bolts on the baffle and so on. Found there was a missing bolt for the speaker up here, so I had to find one of those. So we now have the amplifier finished. That was, like I say, a little bit of a sidetracking I didn't expect, but that's the way it is. So now back to where we were. Everything on this should work now. So let's fire it up and see what we've got. Okay, the reverb works. Light switch works. Let's get this down some more. Drive works. The drive select works. So anyway, we've got his amp up and running. About 2 hours worth of time. New set of output tubes. Some filter caps. And a little bit of cleaning and tightening. And fixing stuff where other people had been. So anyway, there we go. I'm going to button this little fella up and give him a call. So here you go, less than filter caps. Lots of funny noises. Until next time, play nice. I'll see you later.